Welcome to the FNO InsureTech podcast, a place where movers and shakers from all points within the insurance ecosystem gather and discuss all things InsureTech. Here are your hosts, Lee Boyd and Rob Beller.
Hey, podcast world, here we are with another edition of your number one podcast, FNO InsureTech. Coming to you today from beautiful California and Texas and Ohio. That's right.
Ohio.
Our guest today is an Ohioan. Ohioan?
A guy from Ohio.
He's a guy from Ohio. And we'll get to him in a second.
Yeah.
But first, we have other things to talk about. I'm about to take a big trip. I'm about to take a big trip.
You're taking an epic trip, that you have been working on, because these things take times. But for like a year, it has been a build up for about a year.
They take time.
That you've been talking about this trip.
They take time.
You've got to tell us. You got to tell us why and where.
Well, the why is the most interesting part, and that is my younger son, Alex, who's been a guest on our podcast.
Yes, he has.
Alex Beller is getting married to Caitlin Kehoe in a few weeks, on June 21st. And
June 21st.
And it's been a very exciting run-up with all the normal, usual, expected drama, issues, problems, excitement, and insanity that goes along with an upcoming wedding, typically, right?
Typically. But there's one caveat to yours, right? I mean, maybe the location.
That it kind of turned the heat way up. It's in the middle of nowhere, France.
Middle of nowhere, France. So not just down the street at the local church.
No, it's not at the church. It's not 20 miles away on the river somewhere, like a wedding I went to last weekend. It is indeed thousands of miles away.
2,000 miles
thousands of miles away in the country of France. So the Beller family and a bunch of other people are all getting on planes, going to France to spend some time there so we can watch my son get married at a destination wedding. And if destination wedding sounds like a reality television show, it's because it has been its own reality television show. Yes.
That would be an interesting miniseries for Netflix, right? Pick up a two or three part episode of Destination Weddings.
I think it's the kind of thing that on Netflix people will watch about 10 minutes of the first episode and they turn it off and never go back to it. So, but we're very excited.
I'm excited. I'm excited for Alex and Caitlin. I'm excited for the whole group, and we will miss you being around.
That's right.
I think it's a trip that you've mentally prepared for about a year, and I'm excited to see it all happen.
I'm mentally, physically prepared for it. We are all ready and prepped, and we get to spend a week in Paris, of whom our friend Astrid has been my advisor.
Well,
She's
you can't
been
beat that.
My Parisian advisor.
If anyone knows France, it's Astrid.
If anyone knows Paris, and so she's helped me, guide me. She guided us to our Airbnb. She guided us to all the different things that we're doing and going. And
so no pressure on Astrid for the outcome of the trip.
None whatsoever. But you'll be glad, either sad or glad to know that everything that we've just talked about, this wedding, the travel, everything, has nothing to do with our guest.
Yeah, that could be a positive or a negative, depending on how you look at it.
In this case, it's a positive.
Yeah.
We have with us today. We have a two-timer today.
Two-time club.
Two-time club. He's in the two-time club. He is a notable guy in our industry. He's well known. He speaks at a lot of conferences. He's Charlie Wendland, who is the Chief Claims Officer, big job, at Branch Insurance out of Ohio.
And Charlie is going to come talk to us today. He's going to catch us up. We last talked to him almost 3 years ago when they had decided to just begin the insourcing of claims. And he's going to give us some insight into kind of where Branch is, where his operation is, how he deals with technology, build versus buy, types of vendors he's using, implementation, and culture. It is a podcast that is just chock full of great insight into a growing organization. I think everyone is going to get something out of this. Is that the right saying? Chock full?
Chock full.
I don't even know what that means. I picture a bag of chock full
that's good.
of chalk.
Is
that wrong?
It doesn't. Isn't it kind of easily understood if something's chock full of energy or chock full of chocolate or chock full of ideas?
I will tell you, I can guarantee you, by the time we're done with this, Aldrin will send us over the meaning on Teams of what this means. So
of chock full. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
but
true.
Once again, none of that has to do with the podcast and definitions, but I am excited that we have Charlie on.
It has nothing to do with the podcast. It has nothing to do with the wedding. It has nothing to do with the destination wedding, but it does have to do with what you're about to hear about from Charlie Wendland, Chief Claims Officer at Branch. Hey, everybody. We're here with a wonderful guest who, not his first time on our podcast, nor will it be his last, but it's been a little bit of time. Some time has gone by, and we thought, you know what? Let's catch up with Charlie and see what's going on. The last we talked to you, Charlie Wendland, was when? Do you even know what year it was?
Only
3
because
years?
I Googled it before I got on, was June 2022.
22.
Oh, wow.
So right at 2 years.
Wow.
3 years? 3 years.
Wow, a COVID podcast.
Yeah, it was a COVID podcast, right?
Welcome back, Charlie.
That was the one thing about.
I'm very happy to be asked back. I feel privileged to be in the Two Timers Club. Well, actually, we can workshop that name. But I don't know if there's a jacket on the way or what you guys give out, but thank you for having me back. I'm excited.
You're welcome. I think it's a new toothbrush for the Two Timers Club, but hey, it's exciting times.
Did we go with the toothbrush? I don't remember.
Toothbrush and a little crisp packet. We get them from the local dentist office.
Single use.
Single use. So great for travel.
I'll take
Last time we talked to you, Charlie, you were the head of claims. First of all, everybody, Charlie Wendland, Chief Claims Officer at Branch, is our guest. And where are you today, Charlie? Although we know where you are because we can see you.
Yeah, I'm in my home in a suburb right outside of Cleveland, Ohio, 2 hours north of our corporate office in Columbus, Ohio.
Beautiful. Do you spend much time in Columbus?
I do. Yeah, down there frequently, not only for Branch, but also my wife's entire family is in Columbus. So we're down there often.
One of my favorite cities.
It's a great city. It's growing incredibly fast. Construction all over the place, lots of new buildings going up. And we have so much fun when we're down there.
The last time you were here, you were the head of claims.
I was the head of claims last time I was here. You're correct.
You were the head of claims. You're still the head of claims, but you have a new title.
I do. Yeah. So this happened last year. It's semantics. It's not very interesting. But I feel very privileged to still be at Branch and have, built a really, really impressive team around us to achieve all the things that we have. And like I said, just very happy to still be here and serving in this capacity as the head of claims, Chief Claims Officer, whatever.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, the first time we talked to you, it was like early days of a claims function, even. I mean, it was like you and your dog or something. I mean, it was you in a big empty room, and I assume it's not like that anymore. Kind of catch us up there.
When we last spoke, we were a few months into our internalizing claims journey at Branch. As you may recall, we sold our first policy at Branch in July 2019. Mm-hmm. And I was there at the time, and we did not have a giant claims department to service policies because we had no policies. And so we partnered with a third-party administrator to handle those claims, and they did a really good job. But it got to the point, and we knew this from the very beginning, that at some point we were going to internalize claims for a variety of different reasons. And so we launched that in January 2022, and you spoke with us a couple months later, and we had a very small team. And we scaled up quickly after that. And, I remember in those early days, something that was really, really instrumental in how we built Branch Claims is the small team that we had. We brought everyone into Columbus, and this was a claims strategy roundtable. We were going to be discussing how we were going to build the department, how we were going to scale it, at what point do we bring everything in-house, because we were doing it on a very thoughtful basis, because we wanted to make sure everything we built was working. And then at which point we would, start to add more and more people. And we're sitting around a table in a conference room, and I'm up there talking about the vision of Branch Claims and everything we built. And we're going to do this, and then we're going to do the next thing. And we are this very technology forward claims operation. And our director of claims compliance, who is still with Branch today, called me out on that in a very professional way to say, look, we haven't done anything yet, which he was absolutely right about. And what that moment not only set the tone for how we were going to interact as a leadership team with that positive friction of holding each other accountable, but also enabled us to get aligned on, hey, we're going to keep each other in check and make sure that we're able to achieve these visions by not settling for anything that we've already built. And so, the claims department at Branch now, when you and I last spoke, it looks totally different compared to when we last spoke. And we've learned a lot. We've handled a lot of claims. We continue to evolve. And the team that we've built is just really second to none, and has gone through a lot and has shown great resilience, and continues to get just tremendous outcomes today. So we're really, really thrilled with what we've built so far, but understanding we have not yet arrived.
What does the organization look like today, right? What do you, I guess from 4 years ago to today, is there a lot more people, a lot more process, a lot more procedures?
Yeah, it was sure with the procedures and the process, we learned a lot for the things that we've built. We don't settle with anything we built. We take a very iterative approach to everything that we build, right? So the first thing will be kind of quick and dirty just to get something in the market, so to speak. And we refer to that as, this is B1. This is one of Branch's roots. Just get something out there, and you can make it better later on, but you need something first. And so, yeah, it's night and day different. The team itself, just in terms of size, I mean, we're 36 people today.
Okay. Oh,
so still relatively modest size of an organization, but servicing a lot of claims.
Yeah.
And able to do that with, the processes that we put in place and the technological investments that we've made to make our team more efficient and create greater capacity.
I think for our audience, it would be helpful to give a little bit of a baseline for what Branch is. Can you talk a little bit about what Branch is, MGA, full stack, and then maybe a little bit, I like to dive into the reciprocal insurance exchange, kind of what that is. So maybe talk a little bit about Branch to give us some insight there.
Yeah, so Branch is, as you said, a reciprocal exchange. We are an insurance carrier. And so we started off as an MGA, as you mentioned, but then we stood up our own carrier in 2020. And then ever since then, we've been writing policies within that carrier. We write personal auto, home, and renters. And our unique selling proposition is if you were to bundle your home and auto with another carrier, You are into that application for 45 minutes, having to answer a lot of questions you don't know off the top of your head, like what is your car's VIN? And then even at the end of that application, you're generally being pushed to a human to complete it. And so we felt like that was filled with friction. And the way that we have solved that is by completing that same risk profile, but the only pieces of information we ask for from our user is what's your name and your address. And then we're able to populate that same offer to bundle your home and auto within less than a minute. We still give the user the ability to customize it to the extent that they would like. But we're just providing a much more, I should say, a frictionless front-end experience, which again, like my job on the back end then is to recreate that frictionless experience because we've set that expectation with our customers on the front end.
So is that, and I know a few years ago we talked about that to be the mission, to be able to take the upfront information, the underwriting information to seamlessly handle claims. Has that worked? Is that still a hope for you, or are we kind of into reality that you're able to do some of those things?
We can always be better. And this is a really interesting conversation because I remember when we all last spoke, there was a lot of the en vogue terms for claims were straight through processing and touchless claims.
Right.
And I've yet to see that come to any meaningful application. Our philosophy around the use of this type of technology and seeking a frictionless claims experience is identify those highly administrative or rote tasks your humans are completing and seek automation. And then that way you are relieving them of that administrative burden so they can focus on more complex tasks in customer care. And then you've created this new efficiency for them where they're just not bogged down by these items. And in that, you are on your way to that frictionless experience on the back end. And then when you couple that with really smart technology, so for instance, our first notice of loss, if you call, you can report claims to branch a couple different ways. One, certainly you can call us. You can report it through our app or then, mobile, just going to branch.com. When you call us, you're speaking with a voice AI. That voice AI is letting you know that it's an AI and it's going to be a really great experience. But it will also let you know if you do not want to go through that experience, we will send you a text message right now with a link to enter our electronic first notice of loss as well. I will tell you, since we have implemented this process, our NPS, and there's been other things that have impacted it as well, but has experienced to date in 2025 over 2024 a 20-point benefit.
Wow.
Which is significant. Now, there are other things that have played into that as well, right?
Yeah.
First notice of loss is a piece of that, certainly. But again, like the investments we've made in freeing up our humans to be more focused on customer care, I think is the main driver there. The first notice of loss, the first touch point with those customers when they're reporting the claims certainly plays into that as well.
I want to talk about your investment in the FNOL and the AI people that are talking. I had a conversation with my wife last week. I was telling her about how she doesn't even realize it, but she's probably talking to an AI agent who's matching her tone, matching her speed, matching dialect, things like that. And she goes, "No, I don't want to talk to an AI. I don't want to." I said, "But you probably are. You probably are." So I'd like to ask you, what is the uptake? Like, do you find that most people say, "No, I don't want to talk to an AI"? Or do you find that people are willing to discuss things and talk to an AI agent?
Less than 30% of people still want humans. And we know that because we measure this. Not only do we measure, how many, because we still have the human option, by the way.
Okay.
If someone, we want to meet our customers where they're at.
Yeah.
We have a strong belief that the best experience is either going to be our electronic experience or our voice AI. However, we understand it's not for everyone. So we still have a human option. If they want to speak to a human, they certainly can. Again, as we currently sit, it's less than 30%. And it continues to shrink because of the improvements that we make to the flow for the AI, because we are able to monitor that customer journey through the AI of their sentiment at certain questions that are asked, as well as the smoothness of the call. And if we see that we have consistently the same trouble spots around the same question or whatever, we can make tweaks to that and then see how it responds.
So you think that FNOL is a very important piece of the puzzle?
I do. And, my biggest hesitancy about adopting this AI is, how do you recreate that empathy that humans are able to deliver, right? To me, first notice of loss is largely data collection. But when our customers are having their worst day or one of their worst days, you really want that empathy to come through. The voice AI, surprisingly good at that. It gives empathetic statements. It responds really well to what's being received on the other end. But again, we also understand it's not a one size fits all approach, and we always want to meet our customers where they're at in the process.
I do want to ask, and tell me if I'm getting too much into the secret sauce here. Are you able to capture what I would call nonverbal data? I've heard of FNOL systems that can help with possible fraud or the release of fraud, right? Saying like, hey, we listened to that call using voice analytics and there's no sign of fraud. Is that involved in this at all? Or is that maybe a future step for you?
We have the short answer is no.
Okay.
But in that process, particularly on the electronic side, we do have some fraud models that are in there.
Okay.
But is currently doing that. But I am aware of that, Lee. I think it's pretty interesting.
It's so interesting. I think the neatest part is it's not an effort to find cases of fraud. A lot of companies are using it to eliminate claims that are not fraud. So say these 97% of claims have nothing is coming up that we think it's fraud. Go, move, pay, get it done. Just look at these other three. Yeah. Give them a little more attention.
Well, yeah, you're right. And to your point, when I talked about earlier, straight through processing, a big part of, in my opinion, why that hasn't been achieved is because how do you rule out fraud in that process, as well as, making sure you investigate coverage appropriately. I think if you're able to achieve that and you're confident that those claims are being reported are meritorious and they have coverage, that's when you start handling claims with humans by exception. And then you achieve some level of straight through processing.
Yeah.
So, in our process right now, we have image analyzation that will verify if the image was taken from Google or if it was created by AI. Very happy to report it's a very small number. I mean, it's like less than 1% today. That makes me feel good. But when we talk about that next wave of, or I should say the next wave of fraud, I think about AI a lot because it's evolving at a rapid pace. And I just want to make sure that we're ready for it, if and when it surfaces.
Well, you have to. There's a video floating around that you're supposed to send to your parents or to an older generation and say, watch this video. And it's a real life video of bad things happening, bad people doing bad things. And each one says, oh, by the way, I'm AI. By the way, I'm AI. And you fall for it. You're like, oh, it sounds like my grandkid and they're hurt. And she's like, oh, well, I am your grandkid, but I'm AI. I am not your grandkid. Mm-hmm. And it talks about how it all works. And I think, the world of AI is so exciting on one hand. Rob and I talk about it all the time and the neat and fascinating. We just talked about AI. But there are the bad players. And you have to build that into our claims process for that 1%, that 0.5%, just to make sure you're catching those things.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think some of that stuff is really cool. And I will say, it has made me much more efficient at my job as well. If I get 100-page, report from some, I don't know, name the consulting company. Right. And I just want to, get to the high level.
What's the point here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me the 10 most important things I should be aware of.
Yeah.
So anyway.
TLDR.
So we were talking, going back to your technology, you talked about sitting around, I wouldn't say sitting around, working really hard in the early days of maybe build versus buy, right? You have technology. There are great technologies out there. And I know that Branch has done a good job of doing some publications and some press releases with some good companies. Would maybe you be willing to talk about one or two of those companies that you've partnered with and maybe how they made an impact? And perhaps the FNOL is one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, well, and, as you said, we've done press on these. Yeah, our first notice of loss is powered by a company called Liberate. They've been a great partner. They think about things very much the same way that Branch does in terms of that like iterative approach. And they've been super responsive to all of our needs, and we've thrown a lot at them in terms of those tweaks that I mentioned before about making a better, customer experience for first notice of loss, because it's just so critically important to getting those claims off on the right foot. The second that we're really thrilled about is a partnership that we've had with a company called Kyber.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so what we've done with Kyber is we went to them with I suppose an industry problem, not one that was specific to Branch, but one that we had as well, which was when it comes to authoring coverage letters, we had a certain level of inconsistency and quality depending on the author. And they're just way too important to a claims experience, certainly to a customer experience. And we just thought there was a better way to do it. And so Kyber developed a product called LetterGen, which not only handles all of our letters now for document generation, and it is integrated into our claim system. But for the coverage letters, it uses large language models to author those, and it will extract the appropriate policy language and create a really great draft in minutes for our humans to read through, make sure that it's accurate before it's sent out. And I want to stress that when we think about technology at Branch, it's not to replace humans. It's just to help them.
Right.
And that's what Kyber has done for us. We did a time study, and our humans were spending about 10 hours a week either authoring or approving these letters. Now it's down to about 2 hours a week per person.
That's wonderful.
Because right now they have the draft, because you give it a prompt, just as you would to ChatGPT. It writes the letters, they're reviewing it, and then they approve it. And of course they make edits if the LLM gets wrong. But that's been huge for us.
So are they dropping actual just on the letters? I mean, is that covering state-specific languages and things like that?
Yeah, everything. It recognizes. So when you go to author a letter, it will recognize the state. It will pull in the state-specific fraud language. It is also integrated within our claim system. So once we put the claim number in there, it's pulling over all the relevant data in terms of who we're sending the letter to, what's their address, any other information about the claim, facts of loss, it'll pull in there too and summarize it in a really nice way. So it just gets our adjusters out in front, like on a better foot, so they can be, as I continue to say, much more efficient at what they do.
I cannot remember the founder's name. He is a super energetic person. And what is it?
Arvind.
Yes, he is so energetic and passionate about letters and AI and all this stuff. I have personally not worked with him yet, but we've been in discussions over in our side, just because, as you said, letters are the subject of most meetings, right? The correctness, are they correct? The amount of time, the amount of clicks, the amount of research, the amount of coverage information included or excluded. Letters are 80% of meetings, it seems like. So partnering with a technology company like that allows for the prompts and the generation, I think that's great.
They've been such great partners, and again, very responsive to the needs that we've had and very open to feedback.
Good.
Like any other young company, they want to make their product as best they can, and so they're relying upon the feedback that we're giving them. And it's just been such a huge win for us so far, and excited for those guys too, and what they continue to do.
Charlie, I want to follow up on that with a question, kind of a broader view of what you're talking about, and that's buying technology to create a claim department with so many options and so many ways to go and things to do. Where do you start? How's that journey been? That's probably been an enormous challenge for you. And do you feel like you've been successful, thus far in doing it?
I think the success that we've had has been, we have built a department where people feel free to speak up about what's working well and what's not. We've built a really strong team. Everyone is open to feedback because we know this is the way that we improve and the way that we find those opportunities, Rob, which is what you're asking. So, we ruthlessly prioritize everything that we do at Branch, but the way that we sought out opportunities to automate, because this is what we're talking about, is really like time studies. We ask our team, we spend a lot of time, we have a claims advocacy committee that I kind of, head up, and it's filled with adjusters, and they're telling me like, hey, this is working well, this isn't working so well. And then we try to figure out ways to make it better to the extent we can, right? Like not everything can be fixed. But a lot of it boils down to like, how much time is this taking you? And how manual is it, or how critical is it to the claims experience? And is it member facing? What member, customer, are members of the reciprocal exchange? We just want to be very thoughtful about, when we implement technology. And the best use cases we've had so far is finding those administrative tasks that your humans are doing. Because those have been plentiful, even as a young company like ours. And it's to us, not only has building the culture of being able to speak up the win, it has enabled those additional wins of finding things that are hyper manual that humans ought not to be doing. And then we seek automation there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very challenging. I mean, the landscape is crowded with opportunities.
There's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's, another way that, we have explored areas for improvement, so to speak, or certainly like technological investments, is just knowing other people in the industry too, and having discussions with people who have built. We've noticed there's a lot of like theoretical right now, which I think is interesting to talk about, but I'm most interested in people who have like built a thing and they learned like, hey, this didn't work, or this is working well, and here's how we did it. And we've been able to develop a really strong network of, claims executives and leaders that are all builders. So that's been really rewarding from our perspective.
So we've been talking about people, we've been talking about technology, build and buy, and all the neat things. I want to talk about implementation, because it seems like you've implemented, based on press releases and what we've talked about today, multiple technologies into your workflow. And implementing one technology can be a nightmare, can be a very difficult and strenuous and test an organization. On a very high level, how do you go about implementing new technologies? Take your letter software, for example, from Kyber. How do you go into it and say, we're going to be successful with this, and then get it done? Give me a little high level.
The highest level is we have to be able to, well, first of all, in choosing technology, identify what the problem statement is. And then that kind of guides us. And then as far as the implementation that follows that, yeah, sure, there's the development that needs to come along with that. But I think about it, and Lee, maybe this is answering your question. If it's not, set me right, is the change management that comes along with that as well, right? Because, even though we're a young company, we've changed our document generation platform. It wasn't always Kyber. And so what we had to show the team is, here's the benefit, and here's why it's going to be so much better than what we have been using. And then get the buy-in. Let them test the product. We do a lot of testing. We beta test a lot of different products. We make sure the adjusters are part of that. So they feel like, they are building this thing along with us. Right. And then that way they're bought in. And so that's worked out really well.
That's why I'm actually reading a book on change management this week. And I was just thinking about all the things you're doing. And buy-in, the culture, the right people, like all the things you're saying are right into the book that I'm reading, which is great. I mean, you've been successful with it, and not all companies can say that.
Well, look, I mean, not across the board, right? Like there's certainly things that we have not done as well in terms of change management that we've learned from. But we learn fast and we make sure that the next one, we don't make those same mistakes.
Is Steve still your CEO?
Steve is still our CEO.
Tell us a Steve story.
Oh gosh.
I'm trying to remember what book I read. What book was it that Steve wants everyone to read? Does anybody remember?
Steve has read every book on insurance. And so like, yeah.
The man is, I just have to say this. The man is, when you talk about an insurance nerd.
You're going to say that.
He is number one.
You know, Rob, I remember in our last discussion, you said, hey, let's talk about Steve. He's a nerd, right? And I said, well, no, he's a historian. Which I stand by. Yeah. You won't hear me call Steve a nerd. But no, there's not anything he doesn't know about insurance.
True.
He would blush if I said this, but he has been called, not by me, and I've heard others say this, you know, the Steve Jobs of insurance. And I support that. You know, he's spent time in every part of an insurance company, and there isn't much that he doesn't know about insurance, and certainly about insurance's history. And so, you know, Steve, as well as the rest of the team that we have at Branch, it's really invigorating to work with these folks because there's a high level of engagement. They are all excellent at what they do. And through that, you know, it just raises everyone else's game.
That's so great.
Rob, I'll think of a Steve story and I'll get back to you. There's
okay.
No, they're all great.
So you guys are 6 years old? Is that right?
Yeah, effectively. I mean, you know,
maybe about from the first policy.
About
in 2018 we sold our first policy.
And it's been a road that's been, you know, not a straight arrow, right? It's been windy. There's been Y's in the road. And talk a little bit about, and you've been around for most of it. Talk about that experience of being, I don't know what 0.0, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, which InsureTech you guys were born during, right? But things have changed a lot, right? In the InsureTech world, the financial world has changed. The political landscape has changed. You guys are still here, which we can't say about many of the people that we've interviewed over the last 7 years. So tell us a little bit about that journey, if you would.
Yeah, look, we've learned a ton, and it's been the best 6 years of my insurance career so far, just because there's so much more to be gained through the experiences that we've gone through in these last 6 years than I probably would have experienced elsewhere. So I'm very thankful for the highs and the lows, for sure. And I feel like we have become galvanized because of the hard times as a leadership team. Like if you look at our leadership team, the majority have been here probably for more than 5 years.
That's cool.
And, you know, when I look at the claims department, same kind of a thing. You know, our tenure here is greater than 3 years. And put that in perspective, well, on average is greater than 3 years. You know, we started in 2022 as our claims department, right? So most of these people have been here almost our entire life. So it's a resilient group. And as you said, you know, there's been plenty that we have learned that's made us better for it.
Let me ask you one last question, Charlie. I thought that was a great place to end, but there's one thing I want to ask. You've been working on your org, your oversight into a group, and something that I always want to learn more about is building a culture, building a team. And I just want to ask you a little bit about, you know, just one question, you know, what do you focus on as you're growing your claims department, you're growing your team, when you think about culture? How do you build a culture from the ground up and make people buy in?
We were very deliberate about our culture. You know, the culture is not just a claims culture, it's a branch culture. And I remember, you know, in the early days of branch, when we were pre-revenue, right, in those early July, June meetings, we were sitting around before we even sold the policy, before we had more than 5 employees talking about culture. And we spent like half a day in a culture session. And I'm sitting around, you know, I'm brand new, right? I'm a couple weeks in. And I'm looking around the table and I'm like, this is a huge waste of time. Like, we need to be talking about how we're going to like sell policies and grow this business.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I was told I couldn't have been more wrong, because the investment that we've made in talking about culture and putting at the forefront of everything we do has enabled us to grow to the company that we are now and to build everything that we have built. It's because of those early days of that investment and the continued investment that we make in placing high emphasis on a strong culture.
I love that.
It's very interesting. So really, it's the experience for you of working at Branch has been significant. It's changed you.
It's made me a better insurance professional. It's made me a better leader. I credit the team that we've built around us, you know, both in claims and Branch as a whole. As I said earlier, I get inspired and invigorated by everyone that we're surrounded with.
Cool.
Love that.
Including me and Lee, of course.
I mean, probably top of the list.
Probably top of the
Thank you.
list.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That'll be the one snippet we take from the entire podcast.
Congratulations. Yeah, great.
And listen, let's not let it be 3 years till we do this again, okay?
I would love to meet again sooner than 3 years for sure.
Okay. Well, next time we're in Ohio, we're coming by.
Please. Yeah. Coffee's on me.
Oh, great. Thanks for being on, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, guys.
Such an interesting story about, you know, what it takes to make these things happen and to go.
I would agree. And the journey that Branch is going on is a journey that many companies are going on, you know, insourcing different things and how do you do it and what's the right decision or technology or, you know, how do you build the culture? Like, they're going through the things that podcast was applicable to probably anybody who listens to our podcast, because you're going through something like that. I really enjoyed him opening up and giving us some insight into what's been going on there.
Charlie is one of the nicest guys in insurance.
He's great.
He's very likable. Not the most connected guy in insurance, who is my co-host, by the way.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No,
but as long as I got people like Charlie in my Rolodex, it's a good day.
That's right. Charlie's in your Rolodex.
It's a good day.
And all you people are in our Rolodex, and we thank you for listening and being with us again. And welcome to Israel, our new producer, who's with us now. And we'll introduce you to him as time goes on. And until then,
goodbye, everybody.